sbagliata, messa fuori, c'è Pirlo, ancora Pirlo di tacco, tiro, gol! Grosso, gol di Grosso, manca un minuto, gol di Grosso.
Hello and welcome to the Milan Talk podcast. I'm your host Samit Paul, and I tell you what guys, I could get used to this. We've got another win to discuss tonight as Milan scored a 2-0 win over Roma at the Stadio Olimpico, and some of you might be able to tell I've got a big fat smile on my face as we're recording this. So goals from Patrick Cutrone, who else, and Davide Calabria of all people, sealed the 3 points as we now sit 6 points adrift of 5th place Roma and 7 points behind Inter in 4th. There aren't a great deal of negatives to take away from the game. I thought we were a little bit too reserved in the first half. Naturally, we were very organised and very defensively sound in the first half, but I didn't feel as though we were doing anything going forward. There wasn't much of a threat there. We weren't really giving Roma much to think about. So that was a negative. But in hindsight, looking back at the full 90 minutes, the way we came out in the second half was a massive positive. Took control of the game, took the game to Roma, scored 2 really good goals. And for me, thoroughly deserving of the win. Another 3 points in the bank and an impressive performance across the board from all the players. So many positives, just that slight negative, but on the basis of the result and how we performed on the night, can't really look too far into that. So really happy with the performance. On to manager rating out of 10, I've given Gattuso an 8 out of 10. Again, it all starts with the coach for me. The way that we were organised, defensively sound in the first half and throughout, in fact. Roma didn't look like they were going to threaten to score a goal. They had their moments, of course. Every team does during the game, but in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't anything to be particularly nervous about. We have, been very nervous in recent games, holding on to leads, but I never really felt sitting there watching the game that we were at risk of surrendering the lead. So faultless defensively. That starts with Gattuso in terms of his tactics on how to nullify the threat that Roma had. And then just on top of that, the togetherness and organisation is obvious in this team. And for me, again, that starts with the coach. He has sort of brought that to this team, brought them together, and you can see what confidence does for this group. They're absolutely flying at the moment. So Gattuso, another great job from him. I've given him an 8 out of 10. On to the player ratings next, starting with Donnarumma. Birthday boy, turned 19 today. Still can't quite believe that, but giving him a 7. Didn't have much to do, I didn't think. But again, when he was called upon, he looked assured, he was composed, he was focused, ready to deal with whatever came his way. A quiet evening for him, but still pretty impressive, so I've given him a 7. Davide Calabria, a shout for man of the match on this one. I think I've got to give him an 8 out of 10, aside from scoring his first goal for the club, which was a brilliant give and go with Kalinic, and then the finish was superb. I don't know where he picked that out of his locker, but great finish. But apart from that, really solid defensively, I thought. He's now starting to show signs of being very mature and very consistent in his performances. Yes, he is still culpable of making the odd mistake here and there, but overall, I think we're definitely seeing some big improvements from him defensively. So you add that on top of the goal. I'm really happy with Calabria. Great to see him starting to flourish. And for him, of course, now, as with any player, is to find that level of consistency. But tonight, 8 out of 10, brilliant performance and a great goal. Great to see him get on the score sheet. Bonucci, 7 out of 10 for me. Possibly a little bit harsh, but I just want to knock him down slightly compared to others who I felt played that bit better than him. That's not to say that he was poor. He was brilliant again, organising things at the back, leading by example. Schick, Dzeko didn't have much of a hope of finding a breakthrough, so that starts with him as well. I'm really impressed with the captain. Another great performance in the back. So 7 out of 10, solid 7. Possibly a bit harsh, let me know in the comments, but maybe deserved an 8 as well. On to the man of the match for me, and that man is, of course, Alessio Romagnoli. I did say on Twitter, find me another defender right now that's better than him, and I will show you a liar. This man is in the form of his career so far for me. He's immense at the back, countless headers to clear danger, constantly on the ball with his interceptions and challenges, getting blocks in, just immense at the back. Nothing is passing him at the moment. Add that to his composure on the ball, as we all know that he's capable of. He's really good in possession. Plays it a little bit more simpler than Bonucci as in terms of the distance of his passing, but ultimately it gets us going in the right direction, and that side of his game can't be faulted either. So overall, another really impressive outing for Romagnoli. I've given him an 8 out of 10, and he just about edges my Man of the Match award. Ricardo Rodriguez gets a 7 out of 10. I think he had his hands full in terms of dealing with Under, but he did it quite well for me. I think he kept him quiet for the most part. Looks a little bit more confident going forward as well. I think he probably should have done more, because I didn't think Under did a great job of tracking back and kind of, dealing with his offensive threat, which he could have exploited a little bit better. But he was key in the build up to the first goal with that ball across the pitch. And overall, I'm really happy with him. Again, we've had our complaints with him in recent weeks, more so with his attacking play, but I think this was a good performance from him overall. I've given him a 7 out of 10. On to Frank Kessie. I've given him an 8 out of 10. Dominant performance. There was a very, very intriguing battle in the middle with him and Nangolan. I think he won that hands down. Physicality, athleticism, just his continued driving runs forward. I think he was brilliant. Probably a little bit premature to suggest that he maybe we're getting back to the form that he showed earlier in the season. Definitely close to it. He really is pushing on now under Gattuso, showing his class. I think he can be a little bit wasteful and lacking in composure when he gets into dangerous positions still. There are a couple of occasions where he was out on the right. His crosses kind of just petered out the attack and it wasn't going anywhere. So again, that's an area that he can improve on still. But overall, dominant, physical, everything we want to see from Kessie, and giving him an 8 out of 10. Lucas Biglia gets a 7. Again, played a really pivotal role in front of the defence. I think he was constantly making crucial blocks, interceptions, tackles. I would like to see him do more with his passing. Again, that's always been my complaint since the start of the season. But overall, he's doing what the job that he's been asked to do, essentially, by Gattuso, and that is being that sort of midfield destroyer in front of the defensive line. He is doing that absolutely brilliantly. He might not be getting all the praise that he deserves. I think he goes about his business quite quietly. He's not always noticeable, but that defensive work that he does, he really is putting in a shift and he's doing a great job for us. And I would add as well, I think the big difference now between Biglia earlier in the season and Biglia now is the fact that he's fit. I think he now looks genuinely 100% fit. He gets about the pitch more. He's a bit more mobile. Earlier in the season, he looked like he was struggling to get around, and I think that was just all down to fitness. He had his injuries as well, so really impressed with Biglia as well, so I've given him a 7. Giacomo Bonaventura gets a 7. I think he made some really clever runs between the lines. He looked like he was becoming more of an offensive threat in the second half as the whole team kind of impressed and improved after the break. Probably lacking a bit of decisiveness. I think he can be better. I think we need to see more goals, more assists from him, or just more involvement in the build-up of play. But overall, I was happy with his performance, as I was with everybody across the board, so giving him a 7 out of 10. Suso also gets a 7. Obviously got that assist with his brilliant delivery into the box for the first goal for Catrone. He dealt with a lot of pressure, to be honest. I think Roma had a tactic to kind of really push up against him and make sure he didn't have the space and time to kind of turn and be a threat. I think he does have to work on that in terms of he does have his back to goal quite a lot, and that really does limit his influence and the way that he can impact a game. There were occasions where he span off players and he got into really attacking positions and dangerous situations, but I think he needs to kind of edge away from having his back to goal so much and get into those wide positions where he can take his man on and be a real threat. But overall, I think he made an important impact in the game with that assist. I'm really happy with him as well, so I've given him a 7 out of 10. Patrick Catrone gets an 8. Probably a little bit generous, maybe, I don't know. But I think for the most part, he was a little bit too quiet. But I thought we saw signs of him being able to drop back and be more involved in the build-up of play. We haven't seen that from him. We do need that from him. He needs to evolve his game continuously to get better and better. It's not all about the goals. Yes, obviously the goals is the most important thing, but as our sort of lone striker up top on there by himself, he needs to obviously be more involved and link up play with the other guys to be more effective. So I saw signs there. That was impressive. But ultimately, another massive goal. That's now 14 for the season. And again, it just comes back to that movement in the box. Yes, brilliant delivery from Suso, but the way that Catrone made that run between the defenders to get in behind, got a bit fortunate with the finish, but ultimately that movement is really, really impressive. And for someone so young, he's still 20, it's just beyond words for me. I think that's really, really impressive. So really happy with him. 8 out of 10 for Catrone. Hakan Çalhanoğlu gets a 7. I think he was wasteful at times. He got into a lot of dangerous situations and positions out on that left. He could have done better. He had a couple of good chances on goal, but I think to his credit, I would say that he did work hard, really, really hard off the ball throughout the game. He loves those sliding recovery tackles, and to be quite honest, I do too. But yeah, he's a constant threat as well. I think he deserves credit for being that threat in terms of causing Bruno Perez lots of problems. So yeah, not overly impressive, not terrible. So I'm going to have to settle with a 7 out of 10 for Hakan. Onto the substitutes, I've given Kalinic a 6. I think he was actually really good. He obviously had really good assist for the second goal, which is crucial. But overall, I think he was quite impressive off the bench. His hold-up play, his ability to run in behind on the counter-attack. I think he got let down by the kind of service at times where, if the passes had been a bit more accurate, then we could have had a bit more joy with him. He could have got on the score sheet. But yeah, decent performance off the bench from him, so I've given him a 6. Barini came on too late to give a rating, but he was guilty of missing that really good opportunity. He's been in really good goal-scoring form recently. It was kind of disappointing to see him not capitalise on that and make it 3-0. But again, little time on the pitch, can't be too harsh on him. So a decent job from him. And Ricardo Montolivo also came on too late, a couple of minutes on the pitch. But to his credit, looked confident on the ball, kept things tidy in possession. There were a couple of instances where I had to, double take to see whether it was Montolivo or not. It's some really, really nice play from him. But kind of a sort of marker of how the whole team is at the moment. Confidence is high. People are expressing themselves. The pressure's off. The shackles are off, if you like. And Montolivo is looking good as well. So overall, guys, massively impressed with the performance overall from the team. Obviously, a few standout performances there from the likes of Cutrone, Romagnoli and Calabria. But great to see the team playing so well, being so confident. Posted that clip from after the full-time whistle of the players celebrating. The togetherness and the sort of bond that these players have built under Gattuso is really good to see. And let's just hope that it continues to lead to great results. I think, I've kind of mellowed out in recent years in the sense that I watch games in a kind of calm manner, but tonight was the first time where I was really off my feet and celebrating, so in a long time. So really happy with the result and the performance. So great stuff from the boys. On to your Twitter comments, at MilanFan87, man of the match for him was either Calabria or Romagnoli. Absolutely agreed with you there, as reflected in my player ratings. I give the nudge to Romagnoli, just about. I know Calabria did get on the score sheet, but Romagnoli for me was immense again. So I've given him my man of the match, but can see your point for either of those two. At MD Coop 3, buzzing from the beer and the win. This is what we were expecting. I'm in love with Suso, platonically of course. Calhanoglu is being who we thought. Calabria, midfield is starting to gel. Forza Milan. Absolutely agree with you there. I think looking at Suso, he was really good tonight. Again, like I did say, I think the having his back to play too much is a problem, but really good delivery for that assist, and he continues to be decisive, so happy with that. Happy with Hakan, of course. Calabria, yes, midfield is starting to gel. I do feel as though we've got a really good balance, although we always have had a really good balance in midfield. You've got the Biglia, the destroyer, the defensive destroyer in the back. Kessie, box to box, doing bits on both sides of the game, and Bonaventura being our sort of creative spark through the middle. So there definitely is a really good balance there, and it's good to see that we're now sort of making the most of that, which is making us a better team to watch and getting the results. So very good points there, Miles. Good stuff. At Rishab Dabari, immense performance. Defence looked like the best one in the league. Cutrone with a cheeky finish, and even Kalinic looked decent after coming on. Kessie literally played Nangolan off the pitch. Calabria with another great showing, and Biglia breaking up play like a boss. Man of the match, I think Romagnoli. Can't even count the number of times he cleared the ball, or cut off passing lanes, or intercepted, or made crucial blocks. Absolute monster in defence. No flops today. Everyone was on point. Great performance. Rishab, there is literally absolutely nothing that I can disagree with you on there. As I've mentioned in my player ratings, shout out to Kalinic. Yes, he did look good coming off the bench. Kessie won that midfield battle all day long. Calabria, great defensively, brilliant goal to get on the score sheet and get his first goal for the club. Biglia, like you mentioned there, brilliant at breaking up play. Man of the match, agree with you, Romagnoli, good shout there. And generally, yeah, all over the pitch, great performances, can't pick a flop. So spot on with your analysis. And I will add, Rishab deserves a nod for the fact that he did mention that he thought Kalinic should have started, but a few minutes before Cutrone scored, he did mention that Cutrone will probably nick one. So if you can pass on the lottery numbers next week, Rishab, that would be very much appreciated. At the Milanisti 11, no man of the match, flop of the match today. The man of the match was AC Milan. A really impressive team performance. Everyone was an 8 out of 10 in my eyes. Thank you to Gattuso. I can't remember the last time we won away versus a top team like Roma. What a game. There were standouts though. Romagnoli really is a priceless gem. Milanisti 11, again, similarly to Rishab, can't disagree with anything you've said there, all on point. Yes, I take into consideration your point, everyone deserves an 8 out of 10, but you know me, I'm a little bit harsh with my ratings now and again. So I think I'm going to stick with the 7s, but completely agree. Everyone was on point. And yeah, last time we beat a team away from home like this, can't remember. I think that's probably why I was so happy as the goals went in. It was a very good performance, especially away from home against the big boys. So definitely happy with that. And yeah, Romagnoli, hopefully now we're going to see more and more from him. Better and better, more consistent, and getting the deserved plaudits, and continues to be a really vital figure at the back for us. At Joe Basilieri, Rodriguez was his man of the match. Best game he's played so far. His right-footed cross to Kessie set up the first goal. Joe, interesting pick. I definitely agree with you. Very good game from him. Probably one of the best performances he's had for us. Whether it's enough to get man of the match, I'm not too sure. But again, as everyone's mentioning, everyone played so well. It is difficult to pick one. So good to see Rodriguez get some love there as well. Good shout. At Heart of the Sound, Troy Vaughan, man of the match was Calabria. Great shout, and that is echoed by at Sari3981, who also picked Calabria for his man of the match. Again, guys, can't disagree with you. There's definitely a major argument to be made in favour of the right back. He had a great performance. That finish was unbelievable. And overall, he definitely deserved a man of the match if that's the way it went. But again, just Romagnoli for me gets the edge. But either or, both of them had a top game, and that's why I've given both of them an 8. At Samir Mohammed 72, yesterday was my birthday. This is the best birthday present ever. Samir, a very happy birthday to you, my man. Best defence, not only in the league, but in the world. That was a question, by the way. Definitely in the league at the moment. I think that's now 4 clean sheets in a row, possibly. Really good, really tight at the back, can't complain. So yeah, absolutely making a very valid case to be one of the best in the league. Romagnoli is officially the best centre-back in the league. Yes, completely agree with you there, Samir. Birthday boy kept clean sheet with great saves. Cutrone is the future, and our wingers got great chemistry together with the fullbacks. Kalinic was actually good. Flop of the match, Samir said, is there? And I agree. I don't think there was one. And man of the match, very happy to say that he agreed that it was Romagnoli. All good points, Samir. Definitely happy with Donnarumma keeping a clean sheet. Cutrone is the future, absolutely. The way that he's been playing, the goals that he's scoring, very hard to disagree with you. And yes, very good from the wingers and fullbacks, with Conte still left to come back. So much to look forward to on that front. So guys, that's a wrap for this podcast. Thank you all for your comments as always. It's very much appreciated. Looking at this game in isolation, we've got to be really happy with the performance and result. Yes, there are big games coming up, but this performance in particular just shows how far we have come in a short space of time under Gattuso since the turn of the year. So let's just enjoy this while we can. And it's very much a massive step in the right direction. Looking forward though, big game in midweek against Lazio in the Coppa Italia, looking to get a place in the final. Very much hope we can do that and continue building on this momentum that we've got going. That's also followed by the derby, of course, next weekend, which is going to be massive. We've obviously seen off Roma this weekend. If we can see off Inter as well, then we're making massive strides, clawing our way back into the picture for the Champions League spots. So fingers crossed we can continue this going. And then, of course, we had the Europa League draw last week as well. We've been drawn against Arsenal in the last 16. A really good tie for me. I think we're both in a very similar position and situation in terms of struggling domestically, and the Europa League being the best path to get back to the Champions League this year. So it's going to be a really interesting tie. I don't expect it to be easy at all. I know Arsenal will be missing key players, and they've been very shaky recently, obviously losing to Man City in the League Cup final today. But I do fancy our chances. I think if we can take the game to them and we can put the pressure on, bully them in many ways, with the likes of Kessie and Cutrone in particular being crucial in that aspect, I think we've got lots of positives to look forward to in the Europa League as well. But as I mentioned, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Gattuso has made a point of saying it time and time again since he took charge. Take it game at a time. All focus now is on Lazio. It's going to be a very tough game away from home. We're staying in Rome during the week in the build-up to that game. It's going to be another very, very difficult game. So let's fingers crossed we can get the result that we desire and book ourselves a cup final, which would be a very nice situation to be in. That's a wrap for this one then, guys. Thanks again for listening and all your comments. As I mentioned, I'll be back in midweek for the Lazio reaction and then into next weekend. So for now, Forza Milan. Thanks for listening and speak to you soon.